Hello guys, welcome back to another Android Studio tutorial. Today we are going to learn about how to retrieve information from SQLite database and display it on a recycler view. So first here we are going to download some information from MySQL database on localhost. So open up localhost and go to PHP myadmin, and here is a database called FruitDB, and that database contains a table called fruit details, and here is the data available on this table. So now we are going to download this data into our Android application and save it on SQLite database, and later we retrieve this information from SQLite and display it on a recycler view. So start a new Android Studio project, open Android Studio, and start a new project. Specify an application name, and I name it as SQLite with RecyclerView. Click next, click next, select an empty activity, click next, and click finish. Okay, now the project is created. So here we use some material with get. So we need to add the needed dependencies. So open up the Gradle script file, open up the builder.gradle file, and you need to add the dependencies for recycler view. So I copy this statement and paste it here and change this one into recycler view. Okay, now perform some sync operations. Okay, now the sync process finishes. Close these files. So first we need to download some data from a server. So we need to connect to the internet. So we have to add the needed permissions for it. So open up Android manifest.xml and add a permission for internet. So users permission and add the internet permission. And close this file. Okay, now here I am going to create a new activity. Create an empty activity. Specify name as display list, and click finish. Okay, now the activity is created. Now go to the layout file of the newly created activity. So now we need to add a recycler view to this activity, to this layout. So first I'm going to remove all these margins. Remove all the margins. Now here I'm going to add a recycler view. So add a recycler view will get. Specify the width as match parent, height as wrap content. Now we need to specify some ID for the recycler view. So Android ID, specify ID. Name it as recycler view. A recycler view. Okay. Okay, close the file. Now go to activity main.xml. Here I'm going to add some buttons. So add a button, and there is no need of this text view. Now I am going to add another button. First button for download data and second button for display information, display the list. So now change the text of the first button into download a list. Download a list. And here change the ID into button 1. Now change the text of the second button into display list. And change, okay, here ID is button 2. Now make the width of two buttons equal. Okay. Okay, now go to main activity.java. Now here we need to declare some variables for button. So create some variables for button. I name it as b1 and b2. Now we need to initialize these two variables. First one is b1 equal to, and first we need to cast it into button. Now find it using find view by id method. r.id.button1. Okay, and now initialize the second variable b2. So b2 equal to, again same thing, and change this one into b2 button2. Okay, now we need to add some click listener for these two buttons. So b1 dot set on click listener, new on click listener. Okay, now I copy this statement. Now create click listener for second button, paste it here and change this one into b2. Okay, so whenever user click the second button, we have to display the newly created activity. So start the second activity from the second button. So start activity and specify the intent, new intent. First specify the activity context, main activity dot this, and specify the target activity. That one is display list dot class. Okay. Okay, so whenever user click the first button, we have to download informations from server. We have to retrieve informations from MySQL database and save it into our SQLite database. So create a new Java class for the background operations. So create a new Java class with the name background task. Background task. Click OK. And extends async task. We need a background thread, so extends async task. And for convenience, first here I am going to specify void for the generate types. We will modify it later. So add 3 void. Now we need to implement some methods. You need to implement this method called the do in background. Click OK. And we need one more methods. We need some other lifecycle methods of async task. First one is on pre-execute. Now we need the on progress update. And the last one is on post execute. Okay. So first we need to know what is the PHP URL. We need to download data from the MySQL database. So go to the C drive, and here I use a WAMP server. So go to the WAMP server folder and go to the public directory of WAMP server. Here is a folder called fruit info, and here is the PHP file. Open it. I will show you the PHP file. So this is the PHP file that get information from MySQL database. If you want to learn about how to create this PHP file, you need to watch the previous video. So that is the file URL. So first we need to define the URL for the data. So string, define some variables called the json URL equal to, and specify the URL http colon. So here I use some Genymotion virtual device. So we have to use the IPv4 address. So I have to specify the IPv4 address to access the local host. And here is my IPv4 address. Now specify the folder name. The folder name is fruit info, and specify the PHP file name. Here the PHP file name is getFruitDetails.php. getFruitDetails.php. Okay. So before going to use this URL, we need to check whether the URL is valid or not. So copy this URL and simply open up your browser and paste the URL here and check it. And this is the response from server. It is a clear JSON data with a JSON array called server response. So that means the URL is working fine. Now we can go with the URL. So now go to the do in background method. First thing we need to declare some variables for URL. So create some variables for URL equal to new URL and pass the URL, JSON URL. Of course, we need to use some try catch here. So we need to use some try catch. Okay, my laptop is a little bit slow. That's why it is not showing. Okay, surround the try catch block. Okay, and now we need to declare some variables for http url connection. http url connection equal to url dot open connection, and we need to typecast this one into http url connection. Of course, here we need to add some catch block. We need to add the needed catch block. It's an IO exception. Okay, it's too much slow, stucking again and again. Okay, now add the needed exception. It's an IO exception. Okay, now we need to create some variables for input stream. Input stream, name it as input stream equal to http url connection dot get input stream. Now we need some buffered reader. So buffered reader equal to new buffered reader and new input stream reader, and pass the input stream variable input stream. Okay, now we need some string builder. So create a string builder variable equal to new string builder. Now create some string variables called line. Now start some while loop and specify some conditions on while loop. So line equal to buffered reader dot read line, and the condition is all these statements is not equal to null. Is not equal to null. Okay, now we need to get the JSON from the server response. So string builder, we are going to append the JSON. We are going to append each line into the string builder. So string builder dot append, and add the first line, and after that put some new line character. Okay, that's it. So now all the string data available on this string builder. Now create some variables. String json data equal to string builder dot toString and trim it. Okay, now the JSON data available in this variable called the JSON data. So now we need to save these informations into the SQLite database. So we need to prepare the database. So create some contract class for the SQLite database. So create a new Java class with name fruit contract. We need to define the structure of the schema. So create a class called the fruit contract. And first we need to declare some constructor for this class. So fruit contract. Okay, now create some static class. Public static class fruit entry. This class define the structure of the schema, so that is very convenient. So now declare some variables. Public static final string. First we have to specify the table name, and here I specify the table name as fruit details. That is the table name. Now declare the first column name. So public static final string, the first column name is name, and specify the value as name. Okay, now declare the second column name, public static final string. The second column name is calories, and specify the column name as calories. And the last column is fat. So public static final string fat, and specify the value as fat. Okay, so this is the schema and table structure. Okay, now we need to create another Java class for the database operations. So create another Java class with the name fruitDB helper db helper. Click OK and extends SQLite open helper. SQLite open helper, and here you need to add some methods like on create and on upgrade, and click OK. Now here we need a constructor. So before going to add the constructor, we need some variables. So public static final db name, final string, we have to specify the database name. So declare some variables called db name equal to, and here I specify the database name as fruitdb. Now declare another variable for the database version. So public static final int db version, specify the database version, db version. I put some integer value 1. Okay, now define some constructor. So public fruitdb helper, and this constructor need one argument. It's a context object, context. Name it as context. Okay. Now from this constructor we have to create the database. So call the super and pass the context. Now pass the database name, and final argument is the database version. Sorry, some null arguments, and the last argument is the database version. Okay, and for convenience here I'm going to display some logcat message so we can easily find out where is the error. So simply specify some logcat message, database operations, and specify the message as database created. Database is created. Okay. Now we have to create the table. So we need some create query and we need some delete query. So here I'm going to create the create query. So public static final string create query. Now write the query create table, and get the table name from the contract class. So get the table name from contract class. Our contract class name is fruit entry. So fruit entry dot table name is table name available on this variable called the table name. Okay, now open a bracket and specify the column name, its data type, etc. So now specify a bracket. Now get the first column name from the contract class. So fruit entry dot first column name is name. Now specify the data type for this column. So always make sure that you put some space before the data type. Here the first data type is text and put a comma. Now specify the second column name. Get the second column name from the contract class. Second column name is calories. Now specify the data type. It is an integer. So put some space and specify the data type as integer. Put a comma, integer, put a comma. And get the last column name. The last column name is fruit entry.fat. Now specify the data type. It is of double type, double, and close the bracket. And put a semicolon here for the SQL query, and finally close the statement with another semicolon. Okay, so you need some extra precautions while create this query. Many people make too much mistakes while write this query. Okay, so now the query is ready. Now we need another query for drop the table. So private static final string drop table, delete table. Okay, drop query equal to drop table if exist and specify the table name. If exist and specify the table name. Okay, get the table name from the contract class. So float entry dot table name. Okay, so now we can create the table. Now we can create the table from the onCreate method, from the onCreate lifecycle methods. So here only one argument called an SQLite database. So db dot execute SQL and pass the query, create query. This will create the table on SQLite database. So to track the operations, put some logcat message here. So here the table is created. Table is created. Okay. Now from the onUpgrade method, if the database version changes, we need to upgrade the database. So if db.execute SQL drop query and put some message here, database updated. Okay, and after that database updated, okay, now we need to create some methods for put informations to the database. So create some method for add informations to the database. So put information, and these methods need some arguments. First one is the columns. First one string name. Second one is int calories. And the last column is double fat. Also we need some SQLite database variables. SQLite database, name it as db. So for add informations into the database, we need some content values variable. So create some content value object, content values equal to new content values. Now add the informations to the content values in the form of name value pair. So content values dot put, first specify the column name. So get the column names from the contract class. First one is name and specify value for the first column. Now specify value for second column. Get the column name from the contract class, float entry dot calories and pass the value. Now the last column, content values dot put, specify the column name. The last column name is fat and specify the value for the last column, fat. Okay, and finally add informations to the database. So use the SQLite database variables. So create some variable long L equal to, it always return a long value, long L equal to db dot insert. First specify the table name, now some null value, and last specify the content values. So this will add information and one row to the table. So here also we have to track the database operations. So put some logcat message here, and here one row inserted. Okay, so now we need some other methods for retrieve informations from the SQLite database. So declare some other methods, define some other methods. Public, here this return type is a cursor object, public cursor. Get information, and this method need one argument, is an object of SQLite database, db. Okay, now create some string value. We have to specify the projections. Create a string array projections. Now get each column from the fruit entry contract class. First one is name. Now the second column name is fruit entry dot calories, and the last column is fat, fruit entry dot fat. Okay, now create some cursor variables. Cursor equal to db dot query. First specify the table name. Get the table name from the contract class. Table name. Now specify the projections. Now we need 5 null values. There is other 5 arguments, so you have to pass null value for all the other 5 arguments. Okay, so this statement will retrieve information from database. So now return the cursor. Return cursor. Okay, so now we finished coding for SQLite database. Now we can put information to the SQLite database. Okay, and close these files. Go to background task.java. So now here we already have the JSON data available on this string variable called JSON data. Now we need to pass the JSON data and save the information to the SQLite database. So first create some variable JSON object equal to new JSON object and pass the JSON data available on this variable called JSON data. Here you need to add some catch clause. Add a catch clause. Now create some JSON array. First we need to get the JSON array from the JSON object. So JSON array equal to JSON object dot get JSON array and specify the server response array. Server response. Okay, so now we got the JSON array. Now we need to get each of the JSON object from the JSON array. So we need some while loop for it. So before that, create some variables in count equal to 0. Now start some while loop for getting each of the JSON object from the JSON array. And specify the condition as count less than JSON array, size of JSON array. So JSON array dot length. Now we need to retrieve each of the JSON object from the JSON array. So first we have to open connection to the SQLite database. So create an object of fruit db helper equal to new fruit db helper. So this class needs some context, some activity context. So here I'm going to declare some variables. We need some context on this assign task. So create some context variables. Context ctx, and for initialize the variables we need some constructor for this class. So create a constructor background task and initialize that variable, and here we need some argument, say context. So this dot ctx equal to ctx. Okay, and make that one into public. So now we can initialize the fruit db helper object and pass the context here. Okay, now we need some SQLite database variable. So SQLite database, name it as db equal to fruit db helper dot get writable database. Okay, so now we open a connection to the SQLite database. So before going to, so here we can simply disconnect the HTTP URL connection, no need of this. So close the connection from HTTP URL. So here we open a connection to the SQLite database. Now we can put information to the SQLite database. So call that method fruit db helper dot put information. So before going to add information, we have to get each of the JSON object from the JSON array. So create some JSON object variable here. JSON object equal to JSON array dot get JSON object, and pass the index, pass variable count, and increment the, here it is, JSON object, okay, and increment count by 1, count plus plus. Okay, now we can get each now we can get each row from the JSON object. So JSON object dot get string, first one is name, second column name is JSON object dot get int, second one is calories, and the last column is JSON object dot get double, that one is fat. Also here you need to pass an object of SQLite database, so pass that one also DB. So now we add information to the SQLite database. Okay, so and finally we can close connection to the SQLite database. So now we can test the application. So before going to test it, we have to start the async task. Okay, before going to start it, we need some progress dialog. So create some progress dialog variable, and we can initialize the progress dialog from on pre-execute. So progress dialog equal to new progress dialog, and pass the context ctx. Now progress dialog dot set indeterminate into true. Now progress dialog dot set title into please wait. Now set some message on the progress dialog. So progress dialog dot set message. Download in progress. Now progress dialog dot set cancelable into false, and finally make it visible. Progress dialog dot show. Okay, so after finishing the background task, we need to close the progress dialog. So we have to dismiss it from the on post execute method. So progress dialog dot dismiss. Okay, and for convenience here, put some slight sleep. So sleep the background thread for some 500 milliseconds and add the needed catch block. Okay, so that's it. So now we can test it. So we need to start the background task. So when our user click the second button, so here we need some rebuild. So rebuild the project. Okay, so whenever user click the first button, we have to start the background task. So go to main activity.java. So for the first button click, we have to start the background operations. So background, create some variables for background task, name it as background task equal to new background task, and pass the context main activity dot this. Now execute the background task. So background task dot execute. Okay, now we can test it. Run the application. Select a virtual device. Click OK. Okay, now the application available on this virtual device. So before going to run it, I clear the logcat window so we can track the database operations. So now I'm going to download list. So download list. Okay, now the list is successfully downloaded, so we can check the locate. So here it is, database is created, table created, and this much of data, this much of row is inserted. So now we can check the SQLite database. So open Android device monitor, and go to the file explorer at the right side. Now there is a folder called data. Open that folder, and there is another folder called data. Expand that one also, and you need to find out the package name of your application. You need to find out your application. So here our application name is SQLite. Here it is, SQLite RecyclerView, and open the database folder, and here is the database fruit.db. Now here I am going to pull out this database from the device. So here is option, pull a file from the device. Now I'm going to save the database on my desktop with the name fruit.db. Select desktop and click save. Okay, now here it is, now the database available on my desktop. Now open SQLite browser. Now open SQLite browser and open the database on it. So now open database, and it is available on desktop. Select all files, and the file name is fruit.db. Select that one, open it. Okay, now browse the table. Now select table. Now select the table. Here the table is fruit details, and here it is, all the data is successfully saved into the SQLite database, and here is the data available on MySQL database. So now we successfully download the data and save it into SQLite database. Now we have to display this data on a RecyclerView. So the first thing we have to create, so whenever user click the first button, second button, we have to display list. So the first thing we need some custom layout for the RecyclerView. So right click the layout file and create a new layout resource file, and I name it as raw layout. Okay, now go to the XML file. First change the orientation into horizontal. And change the height of this layout into 75 bit dp. So now we need to add 3 text views for display fruit name, calories, and fat. So here I add 3 text views. First text view with id name, second text view with id calories, and last one with id fat. Okay, so this one is the layout for each row of the RecyclerView. So close the file. Now we need some Java class. We need to create some Java class. So right click the package and create a new Java class. I name it as fruit. Click OK. Now create some variables: private string name, private int calories. Now the last one is private double fat. Now add getter and setter methods for these variables. So add getter and setter methods and select all the variables. Okay, now we need a constructor for this class. So create a constructor, public fruit, and for this constructor we need 3 arguments: string name, int calories, and the last one is double fat. Okay, now we need to call the setter methods from the constructor. So this dot set name and pass the name argument. Now call the second setter method, set calories, and pass calories, and the last one is set fat and pass the argument fat. Okay, that's it. Now close the file. Now we need to create some adapter for the RecyclerView. So we need another Java class. Before here I'm going to declare some variables for RecyclerView. So create some variable for RecyclerView and create variable for adapter of RecyclerView. Now the layout manager for RecyclerView, RecyclerView.layoutManager, name it as layout manager. Okay, and now we can initialize these variables. First one is the RecyclerView. So RecyclerView, first typecast that one into RecyclerView. Now find it, find the view by id, r.id dot RecyclerView. Now initialize the layout manager equal to new linear layout manager and pass the context this. Now RecyclerView dot set layout manager for the RecyclerView, set layout manager and pass layout manager. Now RecyclerView dot set has fixed size, into true. This will improve performance of the RecyclerView. Okay, that's it. Now we need the adapter. So create another Java class for adapter. So create a Java class with the name recycler adapter. Click OK, and this class extends RecyclerView dot adapter. Now add some methods like on create view holder, on bind view holder, and get item count. Click OK. Okay, the methods are now available on this class. Now here we need to create some view holder class. So public static class recycler view holder, that extends RecyclerView dot view holder. Okay, and this class needs some constructor, RecyclerView holder, and that constructor needs one argument. It's an object of view class view. Now call the super method. Super, and pass the view argument. Okay, now we need to here I add some generic type, that is an object of RecyclerView holder. So this method the return type is an object of RecyclerView holder. Here also the first argument is an object of RecyclerView holder. Okay, now here I'm going to create some text views variables. So text view, first one is name, second one is calories, and the last one is fat. Now initialize these text views from the constructor of this class. So first one is name equal to cast it into text view. Now find it using the view argument, view dot find the view by id, r dot id dot name. Now copy this one. Now here is the second column, calories, r dot id dot calories. Now initialize the last text view, that one is fat, and here it is r dot id dot fat. Okay, so we initialize the text views from the custom layout for the RecyclerView. So now here I'm going to declare some array list that can hold objects of fruit class. Name it as array list equal to new array list Okay, now create some constructor for this class for initializing the array list. So recycler adapter, and with one argument is an array list with fruit object. Okay, now initialize the array list. So this dot array list equal to array list. Okay, now from the get item count method, return the size of the array list dot size. Okay, now go to the onCreate view holder method. First create some view variable, view equal to layout inflator dot from parent dot get context dot inflate r dot layout dot row layout. Now parent and final argument is false. Okay, now create some object of the view holder class. So recycler view holder equal to new recycler view holder and pass the view argument. Okay, and finally return that object from here. So recycler view holder. Now go to the onBind view holder method. So from here we have to assign values for the text views. So first create an object of fruit class, fruit equal to, and get each of the fruit object from the array list dot get, and pass the position. Now we need to initialize the text views. So builder.name.setText and call the getter methods of the fruit class. So fruit dot get the name. Now holder dot calories is an integer. Holder dot calories dot setText, it is an integer, so integer dot to string, and call the getter method from fruit class, fruit dot get calories. Now the last one is holder dot fat. It is of double type, set to text. So string dot values of, and get the double value from the fruit class. So fruit dot get fat. Okay, that's it. Now we finished the coding on the recycler adapter. Okay, now go to the display list.java. So now we need to retrieve information from SQLite database and display it on a recycler view. So first here I am going to declare some array list that contain object of fruit class. Name it as array list equal to new array list. Okay. Okay, now we need to open connection to the SQLite database. So create some variable for fruit db helper equal to new fruit db helper and pass context. Now we need an object of SQLite database. So SQLite database, name it as SQLite database equal to fruit db helper dot get readable database. Okay, now create some cursor variable, cursor equal to fruit db helper dot get information and pass the SQLite database variable. Now we need to get each of the row from the cursor. So cursor dot move it to the first row. Cursor dot move it to first and start some do while loop here. While, and specify the condition as cursor dot move it to next. Okay, so now we need to get each row from the cursor. So create some fruit object here. So fruit, name it as fruit equal to new fruit. Now get each column data from the cursor. So cursor dot get string 0th index, first index. Now cursor dot get int second column, and the last one is cursor dot get double, it is 2. Okay, so now we get the information and save it inside the fruit class. Now add each of the fruit object into the array list. So array list dot add fruit, and after this one we have to close connection to the fruit class, fruit gb helper dot close. Now we can initialize the adapter for the recycler view. So adapter equal to new recycler adapter and pass the array list. Now set the adapter for the recycler view, recycler view dot set adapter, and pass the adapter. Okay, and that's it. Now we can run the application. Select the virtual device. Okay, now the application available on this virtual device. So we already download the list. So now I'm going to display it on recycler view. So click this button and here it is. Now all the informations are available on the recycler view. We download data from MySQL and save it into SQLite. So now I download it again. So now you can see the data is replicated here. So now I download it again, now display it again, and here you can see each row is add again. The data is replicated here. So this is how we get informations from MySQL database and display it on a recycler view. I hope you understand the concepts. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.